Okay, guys, welcome back to Drawing Three-Point Perspective. This is Scribbles with Jonathan. I'm your host, Jonathan Rector. You guys can check out my work at jonathanrector.com. Okay, so where we left off was um, I'm confused as to how to draw a three-point perspective, like a scene that I like. So what I did is I'm going to grab some reference, and the scene that I like in this book, anyway, this is kind of what I had in my mind. We'll say of what exactly I wanted to draw. Now, what I'll do is what I'm going to show you right here. Basically, on a scrap piece of paper. Just trying to see if I can kind of keep this comic in the shot as we go. I doubt it'll fit, but we'll do our best. What I do is I'll grab a scrap piece of paper on the side and grab a movie, do whatever you like for a shot, and I'll just roughly lay in the telltale signs of what that image is giving me to tell me where my perspective grid is supposed to be. Okay, so right away, see if I can show you again. Everything that's going up and down. Remember, all of our y-axis. I honestly hope I'm getting the X and the Y's right. I always get them backwards. But anyway, we'll say it's the Y still. Everything that's going up and down is the Y. So as you can see, everything's going up and down there. So those lines are the lines that I just want to carry over. So I know in that panel anyway, there's a building over in the side here. The start of the other building is going about here. Some of the other lines are still going up. Nothing's really carrying over. So on a scrap piece of paper that I've already got here, what I can do is I can carry these lines all the way up. And eventually, they're going to lead to a point off the page. And they're kind of starting to go together, okay? So now I know I can just start bringing in other lines from that point that I've already established just by doing those quick gestures there. Okay? And the same rule applies to the other lines. So as you can see right here, one of the lines is coming straight down here. That's a huge line that's going to give us a lot of mileage. That line right there and this line right here. As soon as they start going into opposing directions, you know there's a point somewhere really close, okay? And that's what you're trying to train your eye to find is these little points, okay? So again, we've got that line coming about there. And then he's got I guess it'd be like a sidewalk coming here, and eventually they're going to cross, and that's what I was trying to show you up here, but the lines are going too high. But eventually it's going to cross, and there's your point. So now you can just start doing what I showed you a little earlier in the previous video. Just start adding some lines. Okay, so there's the other side. And the last side, because this is three-point perspective, it's going to be a little trickier. Sometimes, like how this guy does it, everything's in shadow. Sometimes you're going to have to look to windowsills to find it, but he's given us a really good line right here. It's the top of the building that's going back. So if we carry that all the way down, I'll show you a little trick if you can't find the second side to it. So the second line is about, we'll say it's about here, right? So we'll get that line going in. And remember what I said, the 90 degrees, right? If you grab one of these lines that looks like it's your straight line to yourself, you could pick one if you want, whatever feels right, and do a 90 degree to the, let me get in the camera here. A 90 degree to the point that we've already established over there. We'll say it's there. When you carry it over, that point's going to lock in right there. And again, just start adding lines. And the idea of this little sketch is you're not trying to be accurate. You're just trying to give yourself a visual cue for taking this into your final illustration so you know the exact points, where your points need to be on the page to get a similar effect. And again, I'll just quickly toss in some buildings here that like nothing even remotely close to what that guy had. But because of that perspective, I can toss in a really quick page or a panel just that fast, and I'm just going to zoom in just so you can see where how the buildings are laid out. Again, the details are not what you're working about. It's just like gesture drawing. It's just like your underdrawing. All the lines, your perspective, if they're not right, your perspective's going to feel off, and it's not going to be an easy ride. It's going to be like drawing on sandpaper. It's just going to be a trip uphill, and you don't want that crap. You do not want that. Okay, so hope you've got something a little bit anyway from what I'm showing. So what I figured I would do now, let me just flip this guy over, is I'm going to give you, I guess, a live demo of something a little bit more deep, I guess. Again, I wanted to show the tools that I like to use. Actually, I should have grabbed this one before I started recording, but I've shown this one before too. This one here is a mapping ruler, and a fantastic artist hooked me up and gave me this, and I haven't been able to find them, and I haven't really looked too much, but it's just a mapping ruler. And the best part about it is, if I wanted to draw a straight line, just like a ruler, except right here it does this. And right away you might not notice why that's cool, but I'll show you. But you can just boom, 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 just start pounding out lines. I use this. Some people like using a T-square. I don't have one for my drafting table, but definitely pick one up if you can, if you like them. If not, I like to use just a regular triangle. And I just wanted to give a quick tip about this too. At my Staples where I bought this, they didn't have the grid on it. All it was just this crappy plastic. So all I did is, this is like a little flap that they added on top of it. I just trimmed it and literally taped it on the inside. So 90. This is to get your 90-degree angles and your 45s. And then I've got just a regular. I guess this would be centimeter ruler, metric ruler, whatever you call it. It's 18 centimeters. And then the last guy is the Behemoth. And I think a lot of people remember this guy from school. And I wish I could have the Jaws music playing right now for you guys. But yeah, literally, it's a meter stick. It's huge. And when you're working perspective, sometimes you gotta really get in there and get those really big images. But anyway, so those are the tools that I like to use. And let's just get to it. So what I'm going to do is just draw a quick. I'll pretend it's a panel. And for those of you that have no idea what I just said, panel refers to, if you're familiar with comic books at all, they have panels on the pages. So let me move this around. And so this would be one of the panels on the pages, and we'll say it's. I don't want to keep using cityscapes and stuff like that, but I find it's with cities you get like what's it called? Lines up the yin yang, so it's really easy to visualize it. So what I'll do is we'll say, again, we're going to just do the bird's eye thing just to keep it a little fresh. Where did I put that ruler again? Okay. It's going to be a worm's eye. So what I'm going to want to do is I just line it up here. You can grab your ruler, do what you got to do. And I'm going to get my red for my X. Again, I normally just use a pencil when I do this, but just to help you guys out, I just want to make sure I have it all set up. And I'm just going to save some time. I already know that this line I've already lined up with the panel. So my Y line is going to be the exact same as this, and I'll show you guys that. Okay, so I've established my X. So what we'll say is I'm going to put a point, I don't know, over here. One little quick trick that I like to do too is putting a point far away from the panel and then one pretty close, and it gives some pretty cool variation. And this is the beauty part of perspective, and this is what I found really fun. And again, another fantastic artist showed me this trick, and I've been using it since. A lot of the times, a lot of people like to use rulers when they're doing perspective, and I totally advocate using a ruler under one condition. For me personally, I never use a ruler when I'm actually in here drawing the perspective. Once I have my grid done, which I use with a ruler, I feel like those straight lines are already done for me. There's no reason for me to grab a ruler and reline over that. Okay. The only rule that I do use that for is if it's like a long line, like if I'm using it for an entire page of a comic book and the whole thing is a cityscape and we have a giant building in the front, I'll definitely grab a ruler, because as my straight lines like this start to get a little wobbly, and anybody else that's drawn, you guys know what I'm talking about. And so what we do is, now that I have my point, just want to show you there, that's your X line again, just grab your ruler and just go absolutely crazy and add a bunch of lines. You can turn your mind off at this point. All you're doing is putting a ruler to a point and you're just going crazy. I find too, the more lines you add, the better. It takes less guesswork out of actually doing the image. This is pretty similar to my one-point perspective that I talked about. And I'm not going to be going into complex theory and stuff like that about perspective. I just wanted to give a quick little drawing video, basically, of how I go about doing solving simple problems. Again, I highly recommend getting a good perspective art book, or just perspective in general, and practice, practice, practice. And I know perspective's pretty boring, but hopefully when you start, do some of these little things that I like to do, you might get a little more fun with it. But again, so much for me trying to get this into one video. It looks like we're going to cut this one off again. And I will see you guys in part 3. Thanks.